will provide a preview of the enhancements to the e-services and BizPortal platforms. The aim of the webinar is to introduce customers and stakeholders to the key enhancements that will be implemented. I'm Alma Pinkham and I will be the facilitator today. If we can look at our program for today, opening remarks will be done by CIPC's Commissioner, Advocate Rory Volle. This will be followed with an overview of enhancements for companies and CCs. The presenter will be Advocate Christa Kloko, the head of the Companies and Closed Corporations Unit. Thereafter, Mr. Vuyani Nkogla, the head of the Directors, Practitioners and Members Unit, will do an overview of enhancements for directors and members. Then Mr. Louis Miller from the Finance Unit will provide an overview of enhancements for fee payments and refunds. This will be followed with Mr. Tebogo Masakale from the ICT Unit, who will do a demo on some of the changes. Lastly, we will have a question and answer session. You are welcome to post your questions related to today's topic only. We will only respond to those questions. If you have any other questions or queries that is not related to today's topic, please log in on our website and do an inquiry on the inquiry system or send a message on the CIPC Facebook with Messenger. We want to make you aware that the webinar is being recorded and will remain on CIPC YouTube channel as well as CIPC Facebook, should you wish to view it again at a later stage. With that, I'm going to hand over to Advocate Rory Volle. Thank you very much.
Your mic is off.
Am I audible?
Yes.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I don't think I'm still audible. Just shows about technology. I just was testing it, it worked. Am I audible? I am. Okay. All right, I think we got going. All right, welcome to everybody. Sorry for that. You know this technology. We tested a microphone 2 minutes ago and it worked, and now it seems to be having an issue. But anyway, we move on. So welcome to the webinar on our enhanced services that we have. You know that for a while now, we have been discussing the issue about how do we continuously modernize and digitize on our transactional websites, and how do we continue to continuously improve on our major e-services and BizPortal transactions. So the one thing that we are known for at the CIPC and in terms of our modernization journey is our improvement to the ease of doing business. We do this because we want to be an entity that remains relevant, but we also want to be accessible to our clients in multiple ways. The one thing that we have at the CIPC in terms of our strategy is something that we call the multi-channel approach, is that we try and assist our clients where we find them. We have walk-in centers, we have transactional websites, we have mobile sites, we're moving into APIs, we have chatbots, and we try and utilize various services even in the artificial intelligence space. But when it comes to the issue about our major volume transactions, we have a strategy of continuously improving on them and making them better for our clients as the years go by. You know, we're moving into new generations, and they consistently want a speedier service, and they also want an enhanced delivery of transactions when they're dealing with the CIPC. So we have to continuously improve on this vein, and today is just the rollout of one of those particular services, namely our e-services and our BizPortal space. We at the CIPC consistently review our strategy. We consistently look for areas that we can reduce red tape and bureaucracy when dealing with the entity. And therefore, when we look at changing our systems, we do understand that it comes with a lot of change management initiatives, and it comes with a lot of discussion and improvement in terms of dialogue with our clients. So when we see what we're going to be rolling out in the coming week, we certainly value your input to make the service better. We would want you to look at the service and see areas, especially on usability, where we can try and improve. We never ever say that we get everything right at the CIPC, but we certainly try to make your experience a better one. So we're going to value the fact that you're going to continuously engage with our managers. We will continuously engage with our IT development team, and basically deal with how we're going to improve on your experience ultimately, because your experience, especially those in the company secretarial space, the legal and accounting space, who deal with a multitude of clients, require that of us. So we have heard you, and we want to continue to make sure that we continue to serve you so that you can serve your clients better. But not only that, we also want to make it easier for the one-to-one client who wants to access us in terms of many of our clients is a one-off transaction, for example, in the company registration space, and we want that to be a pleasurable one. We don't want to have a lot of complexity, because simplicity is what we try and live by at the CIPC. So we're going to have some key enhancements in the automation and simplification space. You're going to look forward to also an updated automated director change process. Reduction of paper is vitally important for us at the CIPC, but not only that, verification and authentication of data as a regulator is what we strive for. We triangulate many of our data sources. You all know that one of our major identity sources is the Department of Home Affairs, which is the trusted source. We have been experiencing a multitude of problems with them over the last year to 18 months. We have not rested on our laurels as far as that is concerned. We are currently dealing with a workaround to those of you who experience our outage on a daily basis because of our connectivity to DHA goes out. But our development team has developed what we would seem to be a seamless experience now when it comes to outages of Home Affairs. We're not saying that we're going to be doing a reduction as far as authenticating of identity is concerned, but we will certainly deal with the customer experience in ensuring that if Home Affairs and our link goes down, you will continue to transact with us, and we do verifications by way of two ways. One is that if you're verified upfront when the DHA link is done in terms of past verifications, we will store some of that data and we'll do it to verify you going forward. Alternatively, if you're a new customer and the link is down, we'll continue to transact with us, and when the link comes up later on in the day or at night, we will then do a verification of you and therefore control that particular process. These are some of the enhancements we're doing in order for us to make sure that you do not experience a multitude of downtime when dealing with the CIPC. So we value that relationship, and we value our modernization journey. The big thing that I want to discuss today is the implementation of a new payment system. You all know for many, many years, we've been utilizing what is called the declining balance system, when you deposit monies into a CIPC account, and therefore you feed off that account to receive services from us in the payments of fees. We have, over the years, received a lot of negative feedback from the Auditor General in our auditing process to say that we are not a deposit-taking institution. So we have been working very, very hard with our banking partners, working very, very hard with our development team, and working very hard with our finance team in order to come up with new innovative ways of servicing the payments of fees to the CIPC. And we're going to be utilizing a card system fully. You know that we've rolled this out with the BizPortal system and other services in CIPC, but now we're going the full gamut of services. Some might say fortunately or unfortunately, but at the end of the day, it is something that is taking us in our next wave of innovation, and we are moving fully into the basket system and the payment of services using cards. So I'm sure one of the questions that you will ask of us, and I have Mr. Louis Muller from Finance later on who will be dealing with some of these issues and these questions, is what if I have money in my customer account already? So we have put together teams that will be dealing with refunding of those particular funds. We ask you to be patient with us as we verify some of the information that we are required to do so in order to have a positive feedback when it comes to refunds, but be rest assured that you will be getting all your monies back. CIPC is not in the space of keeping what is not theirs. So we will work through that as speedily and efficiently as we can, and our finance team will certainly be putting out a lot of communication in the coming weeks in order for you to address those queries and for you to receive that. We'll also have a lot of queries from other stakeholders as to how do we process the card system efficiently, especially if they come from regulated professional bodies like attorneys and the like. We'll also be addressing some of those concerns. But be that as it may, we are moving fully into this enhanced platforms. We're going to require to use your debit or credit card as a payment method, and unfortunately we'll be shutting down the declining balance system going forward. So throughout the course of this morning, when we're dealing with aspects in this particular webinar, please feel free to ask as many questions as you like of our managed team. They have worked over a long period of time to get us to the place where we can release in the next week our enhanced services to yourselves. We know that we're going to be dealing with a lot of queries. We'll be dealing with a lot of communication from the CIPC side. We're going to be releasing a lot of videos, how to do videos on the various aspects of our new services. We're going to be releasing a lot of guidelines and ease of doing business, frequently asked questions. And we're going to maintain over the next couple of months going forward as much communication methods and strategies to make sure that you receive all the requisite information that you require in order for you to have a seamless experience with our new enhanced services. In closing, we firmly believe that the continuous improvement culture and vision that I've set for the organization becomes entrenched. It is a permanent fixture and feature of what we do. It is part of our corporate culture in order for us to make sure that we have made positive strides to attract investment into South Africa by an ease of doing business destination. We make it easy for our business community to access us and to grow their businesses as part of what we do. In the next year, one of the big strategies that we're also going to be rolling out and unfolding is in the area of data management and analysis and the utilization of CIPC's data, because we have a wealth of that particular data, especially for the third-party decision-making processes. So look forward to some of our communication around that and also to utilize some of our services. We value the fact that we have a lot of stakeholder engagement with our public and our private partners. Collaboration is one of our core values, so feel free to seek out any assistance in this particular area, especially when it comes to the area around how do we as a collective receive the services from CIPC in order to grow the economy and to make sure that we are servicing you in the way that you desire of us. We see our customers as our strategic partners, not just somebody for which accesses our services. So we value your feedback, and I'll continuously saying that and I'll continue to maintain that. Our system can only be as good as the feedback that we receive from you. You know, sometimes when you're a little bit inward looking and you try and do what's best for customers, we sometimes might miss the boat. I never ever shy away from the fact that we will get some things wrong. And when we get something wrong, we value the input that we get from you as our clients in order for us to improve on that particular service and in order for us to enhance the particular service. I know many of you are having a lot of issues when it comes to query resolutions, and we certainly will be placing a lot of emphasis on our query resolution system as well in the coming year in order for us to have enhanced methods of how do you deal with us when things go wrong. And to receive the requisite response and attention that you deserve and you desire in order for you to receive that. So we're going to try and minimize disruptions. The reason why we're rolling it out in December, you must be also asking that question, is because historically, from the closing of the schools and the start of what is regarded as the festive period or season for the country, CIPC services in terms of volumes decreases. So it gives us it gives us ample opportunity in order for us to continuously work on the system if there are glitches. And I am 100% sure, because I've been doing this for a long while, there will be glitches, there will be teething problems with the system, and we will certainly pay the requisite attention. My development team and my managers are continuously working throughout this particular period. They continuously are on standby, and we will continuously, even during the closing period, dealing with enhancements or glitches or technical issues that might arise. That's just the nature of the business, it's the nature of technology. As you saw from the start of this particular webinar, I tested my mic 2 minutes before we started and it didn't work when it came on. So that's just the nature of how things are. But we never shy away from the fact that we always strive to do our best and strive to give you the service that you certainly require. So with those few words, I want to wish you all a peaceful, very joyous and a safe festive period. We look forward in the coming year to servicing you even better as the CIPC. We never shy away from the fact that we will get some things wrong, but we always have the intention and we always have the culture built in the organization to continuously strive to innovate and continuously strive to service you better. So with a few words, I thank you very much. I'll leave you in the capable hands of my managers. I'll also be listening in to make sure that the questions that you ask of us is enhancing the experience and enhancing your interaction with the CIPC. Thank you very much, and have a great webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I am just going to share our presentation again quickly, and then I'm going to hand you over to Advocate Krista Kloko. Thank you very much, Krista.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just waiting for the presentation to be shared.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just waiting for the presentation to be shared. Right, I'm just going to switch off my camera. I know we're all struggling with load shedding and residual load shedding. So once again, good morning, everybody. I am Krista Kloko. I'm the Senior Manager responsible for companies and close corporations at the CIPC. So in my component of the presentation, I will be just taking you through some layout changes of how the e-service is going to look like. The look and feel is quite dramatic, as you can see from the screen in front of you. And then I will just go through the area and indicate what has changed. Most of the services are going to be identical. You're not going to see from an experience perspective any changes, but in some areas we've made quite a lot of changes, and I think you need to be aware of it. The purpose is not to take you into detail of every single service. Tebogo will take you through a demo of some of those services, but just provide you with an overview. All right, so once you have logged in, you'll have got your first page. So after you've logged in, the login will change in the sense that you'll use your ID number and your password to log in. And then you'll have basically your landing page. So it's very specific. So the terminology that I've allocated or indicated here is not the precise wording. This is just to make it, in my mind, easier when you talked about the different components. So you'll have basically a customer dashboard that will consist out of the quick links, which is the services that are mostly used. You'll see there, for example, query, you'll see annual returns, new company, some statistics, and then also some customer transactions. So that is basically the quick links. Below that, you will see the enterprises that is associated to your profile. What we mean by that is if you are the intermediary, it will not display. This is actually linked up to the ID number of the customer that's logged in. So if there's a compare or a link the ID number of the customer appears as an active director or a company secretary on a company or a closed corporation, then this will appear. Not that you have done a transaction in the past, it will be there. It is linked up to your ID. Then on the further side, you'll see your customer details. Sorry, I've just blocked that out. POPIA is in full force, especially in CIPC. So we're trying to provide respect, to be respectful to regarding private information, and also security protocol. I think we all have experienced our data floating around in the economy, and none of us actually like it. So that is the main three components. Just above that customer dashboard component, you will basically see the service categories. You'll see register an enterprise, maintenance of an enterprise, and then disclosure. So those are the broad service categories. They actually coincidentally also respond to the e-service, our static website. Just above that, that will look familiar. That is our enterprise search. We've now brought it back into e-services. Some of you may know that a while ago, because of POPI, we removed enterprise search and put it onto the BizPortal. We bring it back onto e-services. Next to it, query logging, and right next to it is your cart for where all your payments will reflect. All right, so after you've got the main dashboard, for this instance, I chose business maintenance. Once you've clicked on it, you'll see the full service offering that's associated under that category. I'm not going to go through it. It's quite a lot. And as new services come about, it will be added into those three broad categories. All right, so I've then, for the purposes of this presentation, I clicked on company and CC address changes. What will happen once you've clicked on it, you'll have an explanation of the nature of the service that you've accessed. Please read it. It basically gives you the background of what's the purpose of an address, for example. Right below that is very important disclaimers. Please remember that anything that's submitted to the CIPC, and we found that it is fraudulent information. It's a criminal offense to submit incorrect information or misinformation to the CIPC. And we are at a point whereby we have streamlined our business operation to such extent where our focus has now shifted on compliance and enforcement of our legislation. We take it very seriously, and especially with you as intermediaries, you need to make sure from your clients, when they give you the information, put necessary measures in your own regard, in your own office in place to make sure that that information is correct. Because we're going to ask you, if we picked up a concern, we're going to ask the person that submitted the information, prove this to us, especially on electronic services. Then right below that, not the disclaimer, but the wagging of the tail is actually your associated services to the service. So you'll see your new filing, your certificates, your step-by-step guide, and also your video. I think we just have to just indicate that we're still focusing on finalizing the functionalities. So they will be with the launch. The step-by-step guides may not necessarily be available in time, but as we maintain, we will add those into these categories. As the Commissioner has indicated, we're also doing busy with some videos in this regard, and will be posted on the site as soon as they are ready. All right, so let's dive into the changes. So the next one after you've selected like new services, you're going to have like two options to choose, or selecting the enterprise for which you want to file. Again, you've got your little dashboard component. That is all the entities that are linked up to your ID number of the customer, right? So it will be listed there. You'll see some information. You'll see a compliant button. That's your AR compliance button, by the way, to indicate whether you're complying. And then if there's a little hand, it means you can file for it. If you're, for example, an attorney or an accountant that does this service on behalf of your client as your package of service that you provide, you will then use option 2, whereby you will then type in the registration number, and then it will activate or put you into the service in order to continue. Right next to it is the guidance and tooltips. Please read them. They will give you guidance as how to use the particular functionality or the website. Unfortunately, we can't put everything in there, but the key matters that we believe is necessary for the functioning will be there. And if you pick up through our inquiry system or engagement that more information is needed, we will put it on there for you. So that is just a brief out on the layout. So I think let's dive into the services. As I pointed out, the purpose of this presentation is not to go into detail, but basically just indicate some high-level changes. So on the company name service area, you will have the following service available on the Enhanced E-services and BizPortal. It's the proposed name, your standard name reservation. That's the one where there's no documentation required as evidence that the name is associated with a group of companies or another person. Name with association or manual names, that's the process whereby you would have emailed your evidence or to say that you're allowed to use the name, especially if it's for professional services or it's got some keywords in it. We call it name with association. I know that's not the legal name, that's just how we term it within CIPC. Then you'll have your name extensions and also your name transfer. For this purposes, defensive name reservation extensions will still run on the mail, name reservations and registrations at cipc.co.za until we have migrated that service onto the e-platforms as well. It is hoped that this will be on the next launch of services, because we would really like to standardize all our processes into the same area. From a business perspective at CIPC, it's very difficult to try to remember on all the platforms that you have different services. And if you can imagine, we maintain the front end, the websites, the BizPortal, we try to maintain the email addresses, we're trying to maintain the back ends. The more system components we have, the more difficult it makes our administration. And then those that have been wondering, the name reservations with association, that is
Oh, people are gone. What happened?
I'm like, what's going on?
Please hold on for us. We're just fixing a technical problem.
Okay.
What's from your side? Johannesburg, Christmasburg.
back.
Elma, had your presentation as well.
Are we still live streaming, colleagues?
Yes. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to switch off my camera. Our apologies for that. It seems like we had a drop in our Wi-Fi at the office. All right, so let's kickstart where we were. All right, so I think this is the last point before we had technical challenges, is those that will remember we've experienced some technical problems some couple of weeks ago with our associated name reservation. And unfortunately, we couldn't install that module on our manual systems, and we had to unfortunately deactivate. That functionality will be now be brought online on the e-services and the BizPortal components. That is the name with association. All right, so let's quickly jump into company names again. So a lot of interest on special.
Krista, Alma.
Yeah, just hold on for us, please. We're trying again.
All right, so let's try this again. Once again, our apologies. We're not quite sure. We are also investigating what is causing the dip on our side. So I'm going to continue in the meantime while we're waiting for the presentation to come back up. Right, so as I said about the special characters, a lot of our stakeholders are concerned that these special characters may have All right. Our apologies for that. We are going to try again. We've got our IT guys on standby in case it happens again. So I'm just going to continue from names. We're just quickly waiting for the presentation. Right. Just to reconfirm, we will be posting this on Facebook and YouTube. So even with the technical difficulties, you'll be able to access it afterwards. Right. So let's quickly dive back into names. Let's hold thumbs. Right. So on the names area, the system will have proposed names, name with association. That's what we call proposed names, whereby evidence must be provided as to that the name is associated with another profession or contains some key words like financial services or protected attorney, etc. Then we'll have name extensions available and name transfer. It should be noted that defensive name reservation extensions will still run on the mailbox name reservations and registrations at CIPC.za, but it will be phased out hopefully in the next phase of the launch. We would like to simplify and standardize our processes and minimize the amount of different applications that we have in running the different services. So those that have been eagerly awaiting the launch of or the bringing back of the service for manual name reservations or name with association that was shut down due to technical issues a couple of weeks ago, that will now be available as the name with association on our E-services and BizPortal functions. You will not be able to do that service via the name reservations at registrations at CIPC.co.za service. All right, then special characters. Everybody's one of those favorite topics on names. So as you know, in the past, we have only had some key special characters available on our services. And the main reason for that is we were mindful about the fact from the big stakeholders of the bank, like the banks and such, had concerns regarding that these special characters may have translating coding language implications. So we have launched more special characters with this service. We will monitor it carefully to see what's the impact of that special characters. We are hoping or hopeful that that will actually not have any coding impacts on services and databases of our bigger stakeholders. Then just to note as well as that we are still going to have the auto approval component. For those that are interested, we do about 50,000 to 60,000 name reservations in a month. With a small handful of 14 people, it's not possible to search and approve every single name. So we've brought about the auto approval. So if your name is not auto approved, it will mean it will be referred to the back office for search and approval, and that is going to slightly cause a delay. We are not going to tell you what the rules are, which one is front end or back end. That's our little trade secrets, because we have picked up that there are people willing to abuse the auto name approval system in order to get names approved that may be problematic in the public domain. All right, just a few tips on names. It is on the little tooltip or guidance component. Please do a free trademark search first. Please note we have, in South Africa, we have got very aggressive trademark owners, even though you may not, or the smaller business may not actually be in competition with them, they are highly protective of components of their name. So please do a trademark search. Remember, trademarks has got like 45 categories that a trademark can be registered in, but it's good to know what it is. Then also just a browser search. Remember, not all businesses are physical. Some of them just runs on the internet. So it's good to go have a search. They also have got right to their domain name. So please do that. And then, of course, an enterprise search of companies, corporations, and co-ops. Right, on new companies, we have basically the same service available as before. And the next phase, we want to bring about public company, state-owned company, external company registrations. We want to automate it. Those we will not be able to fully automate. They will go into a hybrid process whereby the MOIs will have to be uploaded for us. But on the current services, it will be the short standard private company with or without name, and then the short standard not-for-profit without members company. And please note that NPCs must have names in terms of our legislation. You cannot have one without a name, so the system is going to force you now to have a name. And then also the MOI registration certificate download. Then for the automation that we have brought in on the new company's environment is for foreign nationals. So these short standard where in the past you would have emailed the signed documentation in, that will be phased out. It will be fully automated. Once your name is approved, it is done and dusted after payment. It is only when the director is a foreign national that you will have to use the foreign assurance service first, whereby you will, in order for the foreign national to be verified, and then that person can be appointed as a director on a company. A little bit later, I'm going to just give a little more detail about the foreign assurance service. Right. So some guidance quickly. So after the registration, the welcoming letter, the MOI and the certificate will be emailed to the customer. You will also be able to download it under the certificate options. It's very important to note that due to POPIA and privacy laws, this first set of registration documentation will contain the full ID numbers of the directors. This is to enable to open up the bank account and go to search for further tax registrations. Any certificate thereafter, I just got a note to rush it off. All right, so anything else, the ID numbers will be masked. If you need the full set with the ID, you will have to log a disclosure request and specifically say you are the director so you can get the full unmasked papers. The customer who submitted, as well as the directors, may be able to download for free for 30 days after registration the documentation with the ID numbers masked. Thereafter, it will be 30 Rand after the 30 days. The reason is CIPC is not companies' record keepers. Yes, we keep the information for other services, but companies must take responsibility for their own information. Also, new companies, directors may not share email or contact details. You will be blocked. We know that a lot of companies and intermediaries, you put your own contact details on for that of the directors. Please do not do that. Directors must now be verifying their own cell phone numbers and email address via OTP. So please make sure that if you are planning on today to do the new company registration, make sure that that particular director is aware that you're going to do the registration today for them to provide you with the OTPs via the email and cell phone number. The reason why the cell phone email numbers are so important is that we are phasing out post. And your clients keep changing hands. The directors must receive their notifications, and then the director, it's up to them how they want to delegate. Directors can never abdicate their responsibility, especially towards the CIPC, that they need to know what's going on in their companies. Then also just a reminder about the director responsibility and obligations training, our portal. It's a very nice one. Please do advise your clients before they start their business to actually go through the learning, that e-learning. It's very easy and very useful. Right, just a quick update on foreign national assurance. Again, foreign nationals will have to update us beforehand. They do that by filling out the online form with some key information regarding themselves, regarding their passport or their foreign identification document. They then upload the certified copy, and it must meet our certification requirements as set by 1 April this year. And the back office will then assure the information and then authorize. Once it's authorized, there will be a communication issued, and then this person can proceed to be appointed as a director on a new company or an existing company. All right, we are starting to make progress and speeding up. All right, so that's new companies and names. Let's quickly go into our changes and amendments environment. So the following services will be available. Company location of records, that's a new service that we've brought online. company and close corporation address, which is an existing, financial year end changes, which is existing, company change of name, existing, shares, existing, and then you will be able to download your confirmation certificate. Please note that if I filed as the customer the information, I'll be able to access that confirmation certificate. Let's say Louis or Alma now wants to go and download that confirmation certificate because they didn't file it, they will not have access to it. That becomes a disclosure request. All right, so the confirmation certificates are only available for the person who filed it. All right, so let's quickly jump in some major changes on company name changes. We've heard as the commission that we've listened on, not all directors will receive the OTP for changes. Up front, you will choose who will need to get the OTPs, and the OTPs will only send to that selected director to authorize the company name change. Location of company records. As you will note, as soon as the system goes live, every web disclosure component which gives the summary of the information will now contain the company of location of records on the disclosure certificate. So let's say, for example, in the case whereby this company has never filed a location of company records, that component will then reflect the same as the physical address because that's technically where the records are kept. What we have done, location of company records, we've gone through section 26 and we've broken it down to the different components, and you'll be able to select which one of those components can be kept at a different site than the actual physical address. All right, annual returns. On annual returns, I think this is the biggest area where we've made changes, and it took us quite a while to do that. So the following annual return services will be available: annual returns, a PI score, an AFS, FAS, confirmation certificate, and the AL calculator will be brought into the next phase. Please note that all of these look like one services, but they've got different purposes and the CIPC information management spectrum, and therefore not all of them, like AFS and FAS, is not administered by the annual return team, but by our voluntary compliance unit, but we work together in order to address it. We're trying at the front end to make it easy for you, although the data is managed by a different component. All right, so the PI score. First question is why. It is actually a legal requirement that on annual returns, the PI score must be provided. As you go into the PI score, it will be different depending on the type. Those that are quite familiar with the regulations on PI scores, they ask slightly different questions for NPCs and for-profit companies. This information, together with the financial information tab, will be used to determine whether an AFS or FAS must be submitted. We have realized that a lot of companies that are actually supposed to file AFS are actually filing FAS. So we are now going to force you to file the AFS based on the legal requirements and asking a few questions. The turnover on the PI score, we've tried to make it a little bit easier. That will be pre-populated at the end of the annual return for one where payment is made. We did the same with the employee information on the PI score. We've also pre-populated that for you on another new component, which is the AR statistical information tab. And then PI score information is also then a standalone option for filing purposes. Right, as I indicated, we have brought in a financial information tab. We will be asking the legal questions regarding AFS and FAS to determine which way your filing needs to go. You will not be able to proceed with your AR component unless the AFS or the FAS is completed. I want to remind you again, it's a criminal offense to submit false information to the CIPC. So when your MLI of your client or the company states it must be audited and you click on the questionnaire, the MLI doesn't require it, it is a criminal offense. And we are going to hold the client that submitted the information liable for that information. Again, please make sure that your clients provide you with the correct information that you submit. Then we have also another key component we've brought about. It's also a legal requirement, and after many years, after a decade of asking for it, it's finally arrived, my wish list on annual returns. You will now be able to make your changes while filing the annual return. So after your information tab, we will display to you the director, the address, the financial year end, the location of company records, auditor information, and you will then have to confirm whether it's up to date or not. If you say it's not up to date, the system will reroute you to the relevant change component. You will complete the change, then go, and the system will reroute you back to the annual return to proceed with the next step. Once you have paid for your annual return, you will get all the certificates that is associated with it. So you'll get your annual return. If you made a change of address, it will be the address. Please note, address change only happens after your effective date. You will not get the notice immediately, and directorship changes as well. And if I remember my presentation correctly, we've got one more tab to go. Then we've also added statistical information. Again, this is on the published annual return forms. We will now ask whether you are dormant or active, which province are your primary business activities, your industry, whether you're a holding company, and your number of employees. The reason for this is, as CIPC and as the Commissioner has alluded to, third-party users of our data wants more and more accurate and up-to-date information for decision-making. We get interesting requests from other government departments to say how many companies on your register is actually active or within this province. At this point in time, we cannot really give it to them. We can actually give it through collecting the data through annual returns and to provide a clearer data updates for them. Then we've also simplified the filing confirmation. In the past, if you had filed 5 annual returns, we would have repeated the information 5 times on a certificate. For now, it's going to be a single one, only for the current year for which you filed, and the turnover will be displayed on that certificate. The reason is that our legislation has changed. It is public information. It's in the best interest of the public to know what the turnover of companies are, and that's why it is disclosed. If you don't want your turnover to be disclosed, you need to request a confidentiality request, whereafter it will be considered. But because it's in the public domain for this information, you need to provide very good reason why your turnover information must be protected. And that's the end of the company side. Thank you for your patience. And again, our apologies for the technical difficulties. Have a great morning and afternoon.
Thank you very much, Krista. With that, I want to hand over to Mr. Vuyani Mkorha, that he can continue with the overview for directors, members, and practitioners. Thank you very much, Vuyani.
Thank you so much, Elma, and good day to everyone. And thank you, Krista, for the comprehensive presentation. Being mindful of time, I will do an overview so that we are able to attend to all the issues at hand. So our presentation will focus in terms of what we are going to do. Firstly, the release will focus on director member changes as well as the auditor changes. The supporting documents is very important that people should note that where the process is fully automated, they must keep the supporting documents so that when they are required, they are able to furnish anybody with that particular documents, be it CIPC or other relevant authorities. And as Krista has mentioned, we need to be mindful that the information that we provide with CIPC should be the most accurate information from the company. Slide. So this new e-services is going to provide us with the quicker way of doing the director changes, and it will be fully automated. And the straightforward appointments and resignations, those ones will be fully automated as long as they are done by directors or company secretaries of the company. If any third party is doing a transaction on behalf of the company and they are not a part of the directors or company secretary of the company, and then that will go to the back office. So in terms of the new appointees or the people that are resigning, they will be required as well to confirm their appointments or resignation, as this is an area that is a very controversial in terms of unauthorized changes. And therefore, we have put in place, as we are improving our services, to ensure that everyone is aware of the changes that are taking place, and the directors concerned, they know exactly what is happening. And as part of the process also, we are doing the verification in order to comply with Regulation 168, which requires us to ensure that we take reasonable steps to verify the people that are transacting with us, as well as the documentation that we receive. So all applications that have to do with the removals or court order related applications, those ones will go to the back office. Currently, the volumes are very low with regards to those applications. So the majority of applications, we believe that they will be done within a short space of time, as soon as the directors concerned, they respond to the OTPs, as my colleague will do the demo to show you, then the transaction will be automated. With regards to auditors, it's the same. Only directors and company secretaries that will be able to do these applications fully automated. And in the event that the auditor is a firm, currently, because of we have to implement this, the first phase, we had some glitches, and we then took a compromise position to say we need just to communicate to the stakeholders to say you will find difficulties in resigning a designated auditor in a firm, because the system is still, the developers are still trying to find out how to differentiate between the firm and the designated auditor. So what will happen then will enable you to resign the firm and reappoint the firm, the very same firm, with the new designated auditor. And on the system, it will guide you in terms of how to do it. And there will be even information that will remind you of how the process works. But come to the second phase, we'll have ample time throughout the holidays and figuring out how to then ensure that we do not tamper with the firm and just deal with a designated auditor where such appears. Yeah. So the commissioner has made mention of CIPC continually striving to improve our processes, and I would not belabor at the point. But what also we have also added was to ensure that whilst we are easing, we're improving on the way of doing business, we also ensure that we embed the compliance imperatives on our processes. Hence, I mentioned also Regulation 168, particularly when it comes to verifying the people that are filing with us. And the issue of OTPs, it's also reinforcing this to ensure that we do not get the complaints that we're getting and the backlash that we normally get when there are court battles between the parties that don't see eye to eye. So we'll have OTP so that people will confirm, people will approve their own applications. If there's a stalemate, then there will be then proper forums to deal with the stalemates without using CIPC as a place where they can remove and place people without their knowledge. So this process is aimed at addressing that. Next. All right. So Krista mentioned the verification of foreign nationals, and the commissioner also did mention that we operate with other stakeholders, and our approach is collaborative approach as we do the verification with Home Affairs. However, as he has mentioned, it is not going to be a problem when the Home Affairs is down. We'll continue to process in the background and do the verification at the later stage. Thank you. Yeah. So as I've mentioned, the approach now is to make it a point that we have the directors, members, and auditors there. The licensing and the appointment of business practitioners will be migrated from the current platform to the new e-services. So there won't be any changes. It will just be on this new platform. And the second phase is to look in terms of company secretaries, representatives, fine-tuning the auditors and also the accounting officers to ensure that we cater for all the relevant amendment processes that has to do with this. And as we have said earlier on, all complex transactions will have to go to the back office, but the main focus is to improve in terms of our turnaround times. We know now it takes approximately a day, but we believe that with these new changes, it can be in a nick of time. We'll be able to do this, and that's what we are striving for. Thank you very much for your time. Let's take the last slide. Yeah. So these are the benefits that we have identified: quick turnaround times, the prevention of unauthorized changes, the reduction of administrative burden, reliable data, and also it will be cost effective as there won't be too much of this. Thank you so much for your time, and hand over back to you, Elma.
Thank you very much, Vuyani. I'm going to hand over now to Mr. Louis Miller from the Finance Unit. Thank you, Louis.
Thank you, Elma, and thank you, Vuyani and Krista. I think let's just dive deep into ours as yes. I think on the payment solution, there's a lot of questions with regards to people, what happens to the balances. But maybe let's start with the introduction. These services, as we modernize our service platforms, we also modernize our payment stuff. So the old traditional way where we normally you would have a declining balance and people will transact based on the balance available, and as the balance depletes, they will top up those balances. Those balances will no longer be available for services on our new platforms. So therefore, meaning your transactions which will be transacting will be a card-driven process as such. For us specifically, then that would be specifically for your debit and your credit cards on our side as such. The other one is also we're looking at ways that we looked at the efficient way of our side. So by the change in the payment method, once we're changing the payment method, we're also enhancing certain services on our side as well. So it's a one-to-one transaction. You get the service immediately. There's no delay in the service. And also the fact that you use a debit or credit card will assist you in making a decision. You don't need to budget or top up an account at CIPC, have a cash flow issue with it as such. Now you pay per the transaction, per the services, meaning there's no delays in that transaction as such. And also we're making sure that we're looking at customer centric. We're looking at how how we enable and how we support our customers as such on service delivery as well, because mostly customers would like to have a final product at the end of the business, not deal with the financial issue such on our side. So once we looked at this enhanced payment solution on the CIPC side, we're looking at how do we make it more efficient for our customers. We're looking at specific ones that says we're looking at the transaction, the ease of doing business in the comfort where you are at your house, at your business. You don't need to go into a bank. We're looking at those type of services as such for CIPC. So for us is we looked at the historic transactions that we had. We looked at the volume of calls coming in. We looked at the volume of inquiries from our customers. And once we looked at that, we looked at a more efficient way, as the Commissioner alluded in the beginning of the presentation. they said we looked at a more efficient way of doing services. And also, as he alluded, that we're removing red tape in certain transactions as such. So for us is, once we move to this new payment system, we want the customer to have a seamless transactions going forward. So once the customer transacts, it's a seamless process till the end of the process. So by doing so, we are making sure that we don't have the volumes of calls logged with us. So that is something of the past for these services. We're looking at your incorrect references. Those will automatically fall away. We're looking at the real-time transaction, meaning you pay for the service, which you receive, and you pay for the service directly. There's no way for somebody still to build that transaction. It's an automated process, and it's more efficient and on the process as such on our side. The process that we're following on these card payments is secure. So it means we having a secure portal, first of all. So the customer will be directed to a secure portal. It's also the transaction will be instantaneously as such on our side. So for us, the main focus would be, and I know this is where our customers will come through and say, what happens to our balances and this? I think we'll address those ones just 2 slides down that side before people start getting agitated to understand as to what will happen with my balance, how will I be able to use it. We'll address those ones just going forward on our side. So the main thing for us is to look at how smooth or the ease of business of doing business to our customers. So these card payments would be a debit and a credit card, first of all. Second of all, this transactions on our side will be ensured on our side. We'll make sure the customer does not need to register at CIPC, register his card details or any information as such, because we will direct the customer from our webpage into a secure payment gateway, whereby the customer will then be able to transact on those ones. And then also, this is, as the commission alluded, it will be a basket approach, meaning the transactions, you can basket them different types of services, and you will be paying at the checkout point, which we direct you into those payments as such. However, we must actually allude to our customers that says transactions which is not completed by 12 midnight the evening will not be processed. They will automatically fall away, meaning you'll have to start the process from scratch, meaning that those transactions will no longer be in the cart available for payment as such. On these payments, we would like to also make sure that our customers is aware that they must ensure that their cards are 3D enabled, or that it's been activated at the service providers or financial service providers such as the banks, to make sure that they will be able to do online shopping for those services as such. And also, we would like our customers to familiarize themselves with our terms and conditions, because with payment comes certain terms of conditions with us as such. Read them through before you start completing your transactions as such. And also, all customer related disputes or inquiries should first be handled at the CIPC, meaning if there's an issue with the card or a problem with the card payment as such, please feel free to contact CIPC first. That's the first line of communication. Second to that, we want to ensure that we will be able to assist the customer in resolving the issue, then rather the bank, because it creates a complex issue on our side as such. And then moving forward on these ones, it is just for us to ensure that once we do these transactions, we want to ensure that the customer has a seamless process and the customer satisfied with the transaction itself. But the most important part for us is to say what type of cards will be used. So currently we will be only accepting Master and Visa cards. American Express and Diners are unfortunately not yet available on our side because they are seen as international cards. So all cards that we will be accepting is Master and Visa cards at the present moment. So we will be looking at different ways and means to look at other payment methods in the future, but it's not for these ones as yet. But what we also want to express is that says all these card payments that we use, that we're moving from a declining payment method to a card, a debit card, credit card payment method, would only affect our services in the company's environment space, meaning all our services which will be logged on the E-services and our BizPortal, all those type of services will be card driven as such. for us going forward as such. So for our side, it's what to remember. You don't need to register your card details. 1, 2, you will only use Master and Visa cards, no Diners and American Express cards. Those are the most important parts for us. And then also, there's normally a lot of questions surrounding the balances of our customers. Customers would like to know what happens to the balance, how do I use the balance? And for our side, for ours, it's just such. You can still use the balance in other environments, but not for e-services and our BizPortal as such. Then the other question would be, who can use the online payment solution? Everybody can use the online payment solution, but it's mainly built for our e-services and our BizPortal at this stage. So on our side is we looked at how quick it's going to be. So all those services will not be deposit driven. It will be only card driven as such on our side. So for our side is for our intents of purposes is how long does this payment last for customer in? So the minute the customer is directed to a web page, the service and the transaction will be then concluded, and that will be the end of the transaction. So what we've ideally done is streamlining a process for our customers as such to look at more easier ways of refunding them. So we looked at the process of streamlining the process of refunding our customers, which would like to have their deposits refunded because they will be utilizing a card payment system on them. So we have two processes on our side. So we look at transactions older than 60 days. We'll have a simplified process on our side, meaning the customer will only be verified by his details as such. No documentation will be required for them as such. The second one would be then for customers less than 60 days will then be required to submit all relevant documentation as such. So on our side is just to say that the normal refund process, which is defined and it is attached on our website, will then apply for them. But keep in mind, we have CIPC has a responsibility also to select certain transactions for audit purposes or for review purposes before we refund those ones as such as well on our side. So for us is the key takeaways for us is what we want to look at. We look at issues of the customer will be depositing, will no longer be depositing, my apologies, no longer depositing. The payments will be card driven on the e-services and BizPortal. The second one would be that the refund process, how do I get my money back? The simplified process on our side, which I explained, and then the normal process on our side should the customer need to submit all relevant documentation on our side. We are aware that some of our customers is still continuing depositing large sums of cash into those accounts, and we would like to caution them as well on those process. We are allowing this quick, easy way refund process, and we would also like them to discourage them from depositing future larger amounts on us. If you need to deposit money, use deposit money as you're going to be transacting them. Do not deposit more than what is required at CIPC, because that will create another additional administration for you to submit a proposal or request for refund. And with that comes there will be a time delay between 2 or 3 days with the refund process on our side. So our refund process will be straightforward. You will log on to a query to our system, on our QRS system. Automatically there will be a pop-up screen, meaning you will automatically be directed to fill in your details, and we will already verify your details electronically if the deposit is less than 60 days or greater than 60 days. Based on the requirement outcome of that, our customers will then be directed to fill in their normal banking details. Based on that, once they've submitted those ones, we will then process the refunds at the back end on our side. However, those process will not be automatically processed. It will take between 2 to 3 days or to 2 to 5 business days, depending on the type of transactions we're looking at, and also if the transaction has not been selected for audit purposes as such. So for our key takeaway is card payments will be used on our new platforms, on the BizPortal and e-services. Thank you, Elma.
Thank you very much, Louis. We are going to do a demo, but before we do that, I just want to make anybody who do not have the links for the platforms aware of the URL addresses. So for e-services, you'll see it's https :/e-services.cipc.co.za. And for BizPortal, it's bizportal.gov.za. With that, I'm going to hand over to Tebogo Masakale for a demo, and I am going to stop sharing the presentation so that he can share the demo. Thank you very much, Tebogo.
Good morning, colleagues. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know when you can see it. Please let me know when you can see it. Can see it.
Yes, it's fine, Tebogo. We can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So it is recommended that when you access the e-services website, that you go onto the CIPC website. On the top right-hand side, you will see the login and register buttons. If you're already a registered customer, you can go onto the login button and use your login credentials. There's a bit of a change, and that is what I will be showing you here. So essentially, when you get redirected from the CIPC website, this is what you will see. So I will be now clicking on the top right-hand side and clicking on the login button. The difference between the old e-services and the solution that we will be making available to you is that you will log in using your ID number. So we are moving away from customer codes and email addresses. So you will be using your ID number as well as the password that you have been using on the old platform. So you can continue logging in utilizing just your ID and your password. VPN is down.
We're just giving Tebogo a chance to see whether he can connect again. He's having a bit of a problem with the VPN. Let's just give him a minute.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
We're out of internet.
Okay, perfect. Try again. Okay, my internet is up. Colleagues, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Tebogo,
Okay.
but we can't see your slides or the other
All
guys
right.
as well. We have lost the rest of the team.
Okay, I'm gonna try logging back in. Yeah, it looks like our VPN is not accessible. Just give me a moment. Colleagues, please give us. I'm still trying to connect onto our VPN.
Okay.
Afterwards, because otherwise we have so many problems, it's not going to work.
I'm very sorry about all the problems we're experiencing today. So I'm going to ask that we postpone the session. We will post a demo on our website. We'll also probably redo all the presentations, but we post one webinar or one recording for everybody to watch. And we will also answer the questions, or we'll try to, that you posted under comments today. Once again, my apologies. We'll do it as soon as we can get it done, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
said it's low.